come to worship this Thursday morning. Let's begin our worship by lighting our candle. Jesus is the light of the world. Shine, Jesus, shine. We're going to start our worship this morning by singing a song, Plans. Now, I know that you did this with Mr. Mead on Tuesday, so you should be able to sing really loudly and remember all your actions really well for this song. Okay, I'll see you after the song.
From the breaking of the daylight, help us see the world through your eyes, finding beauty in the broken, trusting promises you've spoken. You've got plans to give us a future and a hope. We are not forgotten, we are not alone. Plans to lead us home into your heart. You are always with us, everywhere we are. You stay loyal for a lifetime, through the shadows and the sunlight. When our worries overtake us, we believe that they won't break us. You've got plans to give us a future and a hope. We are not forgotten, we are not alone. Plans to lead us home into your heart. You are always with us, everywhere we are. It goes on and on. Your love will never stop, shining down upon us, never letting up. On and on. Your love will see us through, even in the shadows. We will trust in you. You've got plans to give us a future and a hope. We are not forgotten, we are not alone. Plans to lead us home into your heart. You are always with us, everywhere we are. Plans to give us a future and a hope. We are not forgotten, we are not alone. Plans to lead us home into your heart. You are always with us, everywhere we are. It goes on and on. Your love will never stop, shining down upon us, never letting go. On and on. Your love will see us through, even in the shadows. We will trust in you.
We're going to start worship this morning with a game, and it is a true or false game. I'm going to say something about myself, 3 statements. 1 will be true and 2 will not be true. And I want you to see if you can guess which ones are the true ones and which ones are not the real truth. So I'm going to do 3 facts about my middle name. So my middle name is Sarah. My middle name is Jane. My middle name is Louise. Which one of those do you think is the right answer? Have a chat with the people in your household. You might want to pause the video. Okay, another go for you. This is going to be about my family, about my granddad. So, which one of these is the truth and which one of these is made up? So, my granddad was an opera singer in the stage in London. My granddad was a famous sportsman, or my granddad was a person that appeared on the TV. So which one of those do you think is the right answer? And so this one is about where I used to live. So can you guess which one is the true one and which ones aren't the true one? So the first one, I used to live near London in a place called Essex. I used to live in Scotland in a place called Edinburgh. I used to live in Manchester, which is in the north of England. Which one of those do you think is true, and which one do you think is made up? So for those of you that would like to know the answers, my middle name is Jane. I grew up in Essex, and my granddad was an opera singer in London. Now, I don't think I'm very good at telling lies about myself. There probably were clues about how I was acting, or the way I was behaving, or the way I looked when I was telling you those stories. I know that I stumbled quite a few times when I was trying to video this for you, when I wasn't telling the truth. And not telling the truth is really, really hard thing to do. And sometimes that leads to consequences for everybody. But sometimes telling lies or not telling the truth may seem like the easier option. And I'm going to read you a story from the Bible that tells you about Daniel, who had to stand up for the truth, and he had to choose the harder option by staying true to what he believed in, staying true to God, and staying true to himself. Have a listen to that story now.
Daniel was living in a foreign country far from his home, but he always worked very hard. The king of this country noticed how hard Daniel was working and put him in charge of his kingdom. Some other men who worked for the king were very jealous of Daniel, but they could find nothing to accuse him of, so they resorted to plotting and lies instead. They went to see the king and persuaded him to pass a new law. A law that said that everyone should worship the king and only the king. Anyone who disobeyed this law would be thrown into the lion's den. Daniel heard about the new law, but the next morning he did as he always did. He knelt down by his window and prayed to God, not to the king. The other men reported this to the king and insisted that Daniel be thrown to the lions. The king was very sad because he liked Daniel, but he knew that he could not break his own law. As Daniel was being dragged to the lion's den, the king whispered a little prayer, a prayer to Daniel's God, asking that Daniel might be saved. The king was so worried that he hardly slept a wink that night and rushed to the lion's den early the next morning. "Are you still there?" shouted the king. "Yes," replied Daniel. "My God knew that I was innocent, so he sent an angel to keep me safe and stop the lions from eating me. I'm fine, I really am." The king was so relieved to hear Daniel's voice, and he had pulled him out of the lion's den as quickly as he could. What's more, he had the men who had tricked Daniel thrown to the lions, and he passed another new law. This law said that people should worship Daniel's God, the God who had rescued Daniel from the lions.
Now you've listened to that story, I want you to think of a couple of questions that are coming up. Who do you think lied in the story? Why do you think they did that? Why did Daniel decide to tell the truth and remain true to what he believed in and stand up for what he thought was true? And is it ever okay to tell a lie? Have a look at these questions and discuss them with your family now, and have a real think about those questions from the story. Daniel was so strong in his belief in God and knew that that was the true thing to do in his heart, that he was willing to risk everything. And he was rewarded by God for staying true to what he believed in, because he wasn't eaten by the lions and God protected him. He is a great example to us all that we should remain true to what we believe in and stand up for that truth, even though sometimes that could be really, really difficult, and it might mean that we fall out with people, that people don't treat us fairly because we've stood up for something that we strongly believe in. Sometimes it might be easier to lie, but actually it only makes things harder as time goes on. And we need to remember what we really believe in and what's truly in our heart to make sure that we stay true to ourselves, to each other, and to God. Have a little time now to think about maybe when you have thought about telling a lie. Maybe you thought that that would make things better, or you thought that it would protect someone. But actually, it might have caused more harm than you had originally thought, and it would be better for you to have stood up for the truth. Have a little think and reflect on that now to some quiet music. Okay, let's close our eyes and put our hands together to say a prayer. If you want to say a prayer of your own, that's fine. You can do that. You can pause the video if you want to give you time to be able to do that. Okay. Dear Lord, thank you for giving us the example of Daniel. Help us to stay strong and show courage to stand up for the truth, even when we know this might be really, really hard and we might face challenges because of the truth. Help us to know when the right time is to stand for that truth and to show everyone what we believe in and what is right. Thank you, God, for being by our side as we make this journey of truth, and help us to continue staying strong throughout. Amen. Okay. I hope you all have a really lovely day. It's been great to see you in worship again this morning. And let's end the worship by blowing out the candle. Jesus is the light of the world, a light no darkness can put out. Bye everyone, see you next week.